Here's what's on your feed today. President Bongbong Marcos orders a thorough probe into the fatal Ateneo de Zamboanga shooting incident. First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos draws online backlash over her birthday sabbatical post amid Habagat flooding. Parts of Bulacan and other areas are still flooded, forcing some residents to evacuate. EJ Obiena wins another gold in Poland, his 8th title of the season and 3rd straight podium finish this month. And construction workers in Belgium unearthed gold coins and bars worth more than $10 million. Thousands of residents remain in evacuation centers after floodwaters forced families out of their homes. Social Welfare Secretary Rex Gatchalian visited the evacuees in Quezon City this afternoon. For the details, mobile journalist Fatima Baduria is reporting live. Fatima, kamusta ang sitwasyon dyan ngayon?
Cheska, nandito ako ngayon sa labas ng Santo Domingo Parish, isa sa mga evacuation center dito sa Quezon City. Pero kani-kanina lang nakita natin na sa loob, sa mga hallways ng simbahan, doon kasi nagstay yung ilan sa mga residente ng Barangay Santo Domingo, pero nag-pack up na rin sila, niligpit na rin yung mga tents doon sa hallway dahil nagsiuwian na rin yung mahigit 60 na pamilya na dito nanatili simula pa kagabi. Simula kasi kaninang umaga, wala namang malakas na pag-ulan na nararanasan dito at humupa na rin yung mga baha sa kanilang mga tahanan. Actually, ngayon nga, ay medyo mahina lang naman yung ulan na nararanasan natin ngayon at simula kaninang umaga hindi naman yan lumalakas. Although bago naman umuwi yung mga residente kanina, nabigyan naman sila ng pagkain. Pero actually kanina, tama ka, binisita ni DSWD Secretary Rex Gatchalian yung mga evacuees sa Barangay Manresa Covered Fort kung saan merong mahigit 300 o mahigit 1,000 na individual na nanatili matapos silang bahain. At bukod sa pangungumusta ni Gatchalian kanina, nabigay din siya ng mga food packs. May mga dalang food packs yung mga DSWD. Ito yung mga nakabox nilang mga pagkain. Merong mga ready-to-eat food, merong mga canned goods na kasya na para sa isang pamilya. So lahat yan ay natanggap nila kanina. Cheska.
Fatima, were you able to speak with any of the evacuees?
Yes, Cheska. Actually, kanina kwento nila sa akin doon sa Barangay Manresa Covered Fort, karamihan daw sa kanila ay nanggaling pa doon sa mga low-lying areas, yung mga talagang mabilis na bahain. Actually, yung iba doon nakatira along Araneta Avenue, kung saan nakita natin yesterday talagang lagpas tao yung baha. Yung iba naman, abot dibdib, abot tuhod, pero lahat sila talagang apektado nitong mga pag-ulan at yung mga pagbaha na apektuhan yung mga gamit nila at maging yung kabuhayan nila. Actually, may nakausap nga ako kanina, kinailangan niya ring iwan yung tindahan niya at hindi rin siya makapagtinda dahil nga hindi maganda yung panahon, Cheska.
Well, Fatima, of course, they needed to head to the evacuation centers. But now that they're heading home, would you know what kind of situation they're heading home to?
Yes, Cheska, actually nabanggit nila kanina, simula kaninang umaga, may mga ibang bumabalik sa kanilang bahay para lang makapaglinis ng kanilang mga kwarto, mga bahay, yung mga inabot ng baha. Dahil nga talagang naguluyan lahat, talagang apektado dahil dun sa mga pagbaha at pag-ulan kahapon. So kanina, kahit na iniiwan pa nila yung pamilya nila at yung mga gamit nila sa evacuation center, nagsisimula na silang magpabalik-balik sa mga bahay nila para maglinis nga at sinasamantala nila habang hindi naman kalakasan yung pag-ulan. So ngayon, yung mga nakausap ko, yun daw yung priority nila pagka-uwi ay talagang itutuloy nila at tatapusin na yung paglilinis ng kanilang mga bahay. Cheska.
Fatima, would you have any information on what kind of assistance the residents will receive now that they're going back to their homes?
Cheska, ayon kay DSWD Secretary Gatchalian kanina, priority kasi nila na mabigyan daw ng mga pagkain yung mga evacuees. Pero nang matanong kung meron pa bang ibang mga assistance, na mabibigay sa mga evacuees. Ayon sa kanya, makikipag-usap pa raw sila sa local government units, especially ng Quezon City, dahil nga para malaman nila at para ma-assess nila ng maayos kung ano pa yung mga intervention na kailangan na isagawa ng DSWD para kung may mga kailangan pang financial na assistance, maibigay yan sa mga apektado ng pag-ulan at ng pagbaha. Cheska.
Thank you, mobile journalist Fatima Baduria. First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos is drawing backlash online over a social media post announcing her birthday break. The First Lady posted a selfie from an undisclosed location saying she was starting a week-long birthday sabbatical. She wrote, "No makeup, no hairspray, no terno, no heels, no speeches, no official photos, no meetings, no schedule, no stress." But the timing of the post drew criticism online, with some netizens calling it tone-deaf and insensitive amid the flooding and disruptions caused by the habagat. Malacanang has responded, noting that the First Lady has been active in various projects.
Bago nga po,
Okay po, go.
nagkakaroon na po at gumagawa na po ng aksyon ang ating First Lady. Kabilang na dito yung pamamahagi ng rice assistance sa mga na-offend or sa mama ang kanilang sa pag-post na to. Walang ibig na ipahiwatig na negatibo ang ating First Lady. Hindi naman po rin nagkukulang ang ating First Lady sa kanyang pagtulong.
Authorities are now looking at new measures to address flooding after extreme rains submerged several parts of the capital region. The MMDA and DPWH are now working on an updated drainage master plan while also studying possible water retention facilities in government properties. According to Pag-asa, 201 millimeters of rain fell over Metro Manila in just 5 hours, overwhelming drainage systems in some areas. NCR mayors are also considering a unified policy and penalty system against littering and illegal garbage disposal.
Ang ating mga ordinansa kung saan nagpapataw po ng 5,000 pisong multa ay isa lamang sa mga aksyon na aming ginagawa. It really must be a holistic approach. It really must entail discipline. Yung mindset ng tao na ako ay disiplinado, ako ay magtatapon ng basura sa basurahan at hindi sa ilog.
Aside from the habagat, Pag-asa is also monitoring 3 other weather systems in and outside the Philippine area of responsibility. As of 2 p.m., a low-pressure area inside PAR developed into a tropical depression and was given the local name Neneng. Another low-pressure area outside PAR has a high chance of developing into a tropical depression within the next 24 hours. Pag-asa is also monitoring a separate tropical depression outside the country's monitoring area. Meanwhile, the habagat will continue to bring rains over large parts of Luzon and western Visayas. Pag-asa warns of possible flash floods or landslides in areas hit by moderate to heavy rains. Flooding continues to affect parts of Bulacan amid the rains brought about by the southwest monsoon. For the latest on the ground, let's bring in mobile journalist Daniel Dayao. Daniel, kamusta dyan?
Yes, Cheska, good evening. Patuloy pa rin nga ang pagbuhos ng ulan dito sa Hagonoy, Bulacan, dala nga yan ng habagat. So ngayon, particularly nakatayo tayo sa Barangay Santa Monica, Purok 9A, Bagong Kalsada. So dito, as for my observation, kanina nung dumating kami dito ay mag-aabot na ng hanggang tuhod. Pero ngayon tumataas na, halos mag-high tide na. So hanggang tuhod na yung tubig. So far, Cheska, dito kasi sa Barangay Santa Monica, meron silang ginawa or kinumpuni yung mga residente ng tulay. Yung tulay na yun ay gawa sa kawayan. So yung mga kawayan or yung tulay ng kawayan na yun ay yun yung ginagawa ng mga residente para makatawid sa bukirin papunta sa kanilang main city. So far, Cheska, ang aking masishare lang dito ay yung mga residente talaga ay nalulungkot, emotional sila pagdating sa ganitong sitwasyon dahil ang sabi nila sa akin, pakiramdam daw nila ay pinabayaan sila ng gobyerno. So when it comes comes to dito nga sa Barangay Santa Monica, ang isa pa sa mga naging observation ko, isa parang sila na yung nag-adjust sa sitwasyon dahil yung baha dito, Cheska, for your information, 20 years na daw, magdadalawang dekada na daw, pero hindi pa rin humuhupa. So ang ginagawa nilang transportation dito, unang-una yung tikling. Yung tikling ay isa yung tricycle na elevated. So yun yung ginagawa ng mga residente para lumusong or yun mismo yung lulusong sa baha. Pero pagdating naman sa mga malalalim na parte na gumagamit na sila ng bangka, ayon sa na-interview ko kanina, 50 pesos daw per person yung bangka na sasakyan. So kanina din, Cheska, may mga nakausap tayong residente at ang sabi nila sa akin ay pagdating sa bahay nila doon sa gawin na tatawiran nga ng kawayan na tulay, yung iba doon ay iniwan na yung bahay. Pero yung iba, nag-aalangan pa din dahil first of all, sentimental daw para sa kanila, doon daw sila nagsimulang mangarap. So yung it all boils down daw sa gobyerno when it comes to parang pinabayaan sila dahil doon daw sila nagsimulang mangarap, sana daw ay sinuportahan sila or kasama nila yung gobyerno sa pag-unlad. Pero so far now, flood control, flood lang daw ang meron dito, Cheska.
Daniel, did I hear you right? 20 years na ang baha dyan? Na every year may baha and so far nothing
Yes.
has changed?
Yes, tama ka dyan, Cheska. Ang sabi ng mga residente dito, mapa high tide, mapa low tide, may ulan, walang ulan, nandito pa rin yung tubig. So ayon kasi sa mga residente dito, ay yung mga tubig dito, dahil sa ginawang airport daw ng Bulacan, dito na tumatapon yung tubig. And apart from that, parang nagiging catch basin na kasi itong Barangay Santa Monica, Purok 9A, Bagong Kalsada, dahil yung galing sa Pampanga River na tubig kapag mataas dito pumupunta, and at the same time kapag nagpapakawala daw yung dam, dito din umaagos. So ibig sabihin, parang ito yung barangay na sumasalo, isa sa mga barangay na sumasalo. Kaya ang sinasabi talaga nila, pagdating daw sa flood control projects, bakit sila pa yung magkukumpuni ng tulay when in fact dapat daw ay kasama yun sa project or budget ng gobyerno when it comes to DPWH infrastructures nga. So kung makikita mo, Cheska, yung tulay, gawa talaga siya sa kawayan. So kanina pumunta tayo doon, tumawid tayo doon, medyo shaky siya dahil gawa nga lang siya sa kawayan. At the same time, medyo risky din siya kasi yung tubig ngayon, Cheska, dito, tumataas na. So yung mga kababayan or kapatid natin na galing doon ay kahit umuulan, kahit may high tide, may low tide, tumatawid. So hindi daw masasabi kung safe yun or not because then again, gawa nga yun sa kawayan. Pero so far, that's the best they could do when it comes to transportation nga, Cheska.
Daniel, has there been any response from the LGU or DPWH as to why this problem is still happening?
Yes, Cheska, actually, when it comes to the LGU, kanina yung mayor ng Hagonoy, Bulacan ay nagpunta sa iba't ibang barangay din to give food aid or DSWD food aid nga. So far, ang sabi ng mga residente, yun pa lang daw yung kanilang natatanggap, yung ilan sa mga residente nakausap ko. But when it comes to the infrastructures nga, when it comes to flood control, barriers, wala pa. Kasi kanina nag-ikot-ikot din tayo, nakita natin na yung mga barriers nga dito sinimulan pero hindi natapos. So yun yung point ng ilang residente dito, iba't ibang barangay daw yung sinimulan pero hindi natapos, leading nga para mag-congest yung tubig sa iba't ibang parte ng Hagonoy, Bulacan.
Alright, thank you for those updates, mobile journalist Daniel Dayaw. More stories when One Newsfeed returns. You're still watching One Newsfeed. President Bongbong Marcos has ordered a thorough investigation into the fatal shooting at Ateneo de Zamboanga University. In a statement, the president extended his condolences to the families of the victims, stressing that schools must remain among the safest places in the country. Marcos also called for stronger safeguards to prevent similar incidents and better protect students. Ateneo de Zamboanga earlier confirmed 2 fatalities and said it is working with authorities to determine the circumstances surrounding the shooting. The university is also urging the public not to spread unverified information and to respect the privacy of the victims and their families. News 5 and One News are limiting extensive reporting of mass shootings over concerns that such coverage could contribute to copycat attacks. Similar to guidelines on reporting suicide, the networks recognize the potential social impact of repeated and detailed coverage of such incidents. As part of their commitment to responsible journalism, News 5 and One News will not report on mass shootings extensively or as a matter of routine. The networks are also urging other news organizations to exercise the same restraint. Authorities, meanwhile, are being called on to conduct thorough investigations, deliver justice for the victims, and strengthen measures to prevent similar tragedies. A House prosecutor is challenging Vice President Sara Duterte to personally face the Senate impeachment court and answer questions over her office's use of confidential funds. Manila Representative Bienvenido Abante Jr. says Duterte should explain the allegations herself instead of leaving the task to her former staff members. His remarks came after former OVP Special Disbursing Officer Gina Acosta took the witness stand during Monday's impeachment proceedings. Acosta was questioned at length over the release and handling of the OVP's confidential funds. Abante says the Vice President should appear before the court and explain to the public why she should not be impeached.
Madam Vice President, please appear na. Magpakita ka na. Huwag mo nang gawin yung ginawa mo sa amin noong araw na hindi ka nag-appear. To me, it is a mockery of the institution na mandato ng konstitusyon yan. Ini-insulto mo ang konstitusyon.
The Ombudsman is raising red flags over the travel of Senator Loren Legarda and her son, Batangas Representative Leandro Leviste, as they face plunder and graft complaints. Assistant Ombudsman Miko Clavano says Leviste secured a 2-month travel authority from July 26 to September 24. Legarda, meanwhile, extended her travel authority until August 19 after initially going on medical leave. Clavano says the Ombudsman is beginning to find Legarda's repeated extensions suspicious, given the ongoing case against her. The complaints against Legarda and Leviste have already reached preliminary investigation. The two, along with former Energy Secretary Alfonso Cusi, are accused of conspiring to secure government rights over solar energy resources.
On the one hand, you have a congressman who has left the country for an intended 2 months, visiting all these different countries. And on the other hand, you have a senator who has constantly extended her travel leave or her medical leave. Kailangan na namin i-flag yan. Diba? Dahil meron na siyang ongoing case dito sa Office of the Ombudsman. The last that we heard, both in France,
The Office of the Ombudsman has ordered the 6-month preventive suspension without pay of LTFRB Chairman Vigor Mendoza and Office of Transportation Cooperatives Chairperson Teofilo Guadiz. The Ombudsman said Mendoza and Guadiz, both former LTO chiefs, ordered the continued use of Stratcom services despite the implementation of the new Land Transportation Management System, or LTMS. According to the Commission on Audit, the use of the old system resulted in an additional 13.3 billion pesos in computer fees charged to motorists. The two officials are also facing administrative complaints over the matter. One Newsfeed will be back after this short break. You're still watching One Newsfeed. EJ Obiena is back in business, bagging gold at the 2026 Golden Sand in Poland. The 30-year-old Filipino pole vaulter cleared 5.91 meters to win first prize at the competition. It is his third straight podium finish this August and his 8th gold medal of the season. Now training in Greece, Obiena is building momentum ahead of next month's World Championships in Budapest. He is also gearing up for his title defense at the Asian Games in Japan. And it's not just EJ Obiena bringing home the gold. This time, it's a group of construction workers who literally found it on the job. 8 workers in Belgium unearthed gold coins and bars worth an estimated 9 million euros, or about $10.5 million, while renovating an old brewery. The haul included around 40 gold bars and 4,000 gold sovereign coins hidden in the building's foundations in the city of Dendermonde. A part-time construction worker made the discovery, initially thinking the coins were €1 pieces before spotting a gold bar. The workers turned the find over to police, who are now holding the gold in a secure location while investigating its origin and potential claimants. That wraps up One News Feed, the only feed you need. I'm Cheska Calao. Good evening.